Hello everyone, welcome to the channel, Melody Llama, and today we're going to be asking the question, is Vegeta a fraud? Now, just like the Goku video I did before, check it down below. It was a great time doing that video as well. I'm going to be splitting this one into two parts, being Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, just like I did with the Goku video. So those two are up on the channel now if you guys want to see those. But if you've already seen those, then, well, we can get started with the Vegeta video. Now, just like the Goku video, I want to lay out some background on Vegeta. Vegeta at this point in the beginning, or, prior to the Saiyan saga, he's an elite Saiyan warrior. He was the top of his planet. He pretty much surpassed his father as like a kid. So Vegeta's a monster, I guess in the grand scheme of like the galaxy, he's not really much. In fact, the Saiyan race isn't that much in terms of the grand scheme of the galaxy, especially when you compare him to some of like Frieza's soldiers like Zarbon, the Doria, and the Ginyu Force. You compare them to Vegeta at the start of the Saiyan saga, then yeah, he would have just got demolished. So Vegeta's kind of that mid-tier warrior in terms of like the overall power level of the galaxy. Now, of course, we're going to start off with the Saiyan saga, and the Saiyan saga is, well, pretty self-explanatory. He fights only Goku in this arc. I guess he tosses Nappa in the air and absolutely annihilates him, but, I'm not going to give that as like a W. So we're basically going to start with the Goku fight. And, everyone has their opinion on how this fight went, but it's pretty clear that Vegeta wins this, okay? Vegeta is the top dog in this scenario. He goes Great Ape and he beats the brakes out of Goku. There's pretty much no hope for victory here. And with the combination of Krillin, Gohan, Yajirobe, they managed to barely get a victory over Vegeta. Vegeta's performance here is an A+. He pushes Goku to his very limits, gets the win as a Great Ape, and then requires a ton of shit to beat him. We're talking, the Kaioken times 4. We're talking about all his friends. We're talking about a sneak attack from Yajirobe. We're talking about the Spirit Bomb, and we're talking about Gohan going Great Ape himself. So Vegeta, unequivocally, this is, I don't know if it's the best performance he has, but obviously considering he's like the final boss here, he's gonna look good. So here, great performance. Now we're gonna move over to the Namek saga, and in the Namek saga, Vegeta is actually the underdog. I explained that the Frieza army is extremely powerful. Back on Earth, Vegeta was like top tier. He was untouchable back there. But in terms of the galaxy, he's kind of a small fry, and we know this because he's equal to a guy named Kui, or at least was equal to a guy named Kui. He faces Kui and he demolishes him. I know that Kui's kind of a joke and a jobber, but the establishment that they were both kind of rivals before makes this victory actually a good performance. If you look at it this way, Vegeta completely one-shot someone that was comparable to him back in the Saiyan saga. So take with that what you will. Now, just to preface this, I'm not saying that Kui was Vegeta level in the Saiyan saga, but he was comparable to him. I believe it's power level 18,000 or something like that. And Vegeta annihilates Kui, so this is a good performance. We then move on to Dodoria, and Dodoria is even a higher officer, I guess you could say, in the Frieza army. We established Dodoria by him killing a bunch of Namekians, like their playthings. So Dodoria is hyped up decently. He doesn't have that much like feats or anything, but considering Vegeta has this man begging and he's stronger than the previous Kui, it's kind of another good win on Vegeta's part. Vegeta's kind of laying waste at the start of this arc. So Vegeta's kind of cooking here, he's kind of throwing hands pretty well. But then we get to Zarbon, and Zarbon is not like the other guys. At the start of the fight, Vegeta assumes that Zarbon is going to be like Dodoria and Kui. I don't know exactly if Zarbon's base power level is the same as Dodoria's. I have to look back at that. I believe it is. So Vegeta's obviously toying with this guy, and he's looking good while doing it. He's saucing him up. However, Zarbon then transforms. And this fight is kind of crazy because Zarbon not only does like the first, I know people credit him with like the first transformation, but it's the Great Ape, but I guess like the first non-giant transformation, that would be Zarbon. And he beats the brakes out of Vegeta. Of course, this is impressive because it's Vegeta. Like at this point, he's still that guy. He's kind of fighting on the back foot. He is the underdog. We established that Frieza is way stronger at the beginning of this arc, but Vegeta still looked at as that guy. So seeing an officer of Frieza already do this much damage to Vegeta is kind of crazy. And goddamn, man, Zarbon does not play with this guy at all. He's dragging him across the ground, slapping the shit out of him, hits him with like a hidden lotus. It was wild. He takes him back to the pod, right? And by this point, we get introduced to Zenkai boost. Look, I'm not even gonna get into those. Look, I don't think the performance here losing to Zarbon is actually bad. It's an L, don't get me wrong. But Vegeta was already going crazy on people that he shouldn't have been able to go crazy on, alright? And then we find out that Zarbon is this strong. You know, I can't really fault Vegeta for taking this L. And then he comes back, by the way, and gets the W, okay? He goes round 2 against Zarbon and completely demolishes him. So, 3 really good wins. The Zarbon one, the fact that he lost first hypes up Zarbon more, so then when Vegeta comes back to beat him, it's an even greater victory. So, Vegeta's kind of cooking here, I'm not gonna lie. But then it happens. Frieza stops playing with these motherfuckers and just decides, I gotta call up the Ginyu Force. So, the Ginyu Force pull up, okay? All these guys are stronger than Zarbon, except for Guldo. But Guldo has a broken ability, okay? The battle against Recoome and Guldo, I know he got Krillin and Gohan on his side, but they kind of useless. Vegeta, he cuts Guldo's head off with his bare hands, alright? That's so crazy, okay? Vegeta just decides, I'm gonna keep cooking, I don't care who's in front of me. Unfortunately, the guy in front of him was Recoome. Now, Recoome might just look like a dork, alright? But Recoome fries Vegeta, alright? Recoome does Vegeta the way Nappa did the Z Fighters. It almost came off as karma. And I gotta say, this loss is a little bad. I'm not gonna lie, right? The reason I say that is because look how Recoome looked, bro. Like, look who you're getting whooped by. That's not a good look, man. I'm not gonna lie. Now, is it an awful look? No, it's not that bad of a loss either. We then move on to this like whole Ginyu stuff, and I don't really want to talk about it because all of it's kind of weird, and you know, people is switching bodies, so you know, it's just weird. I'm not really gonna talk about all that. We're gonna jump straight to Frieza, okay? And his fight with base Frieza. It's so crazy that Vegeta is even throwing hands with Frieza because, for reference, I believe the fucking Recoome, Birder, Jace, them motherfuckers, they had like a power level of 40-something, 40,000 or whatever. We then get to Frieza, and this guy in base form is like 530,000. What was the extra 30,000 for? Like, why was that in the script? You couldn't stop at 500,000. You just had to throw the extra 30,000. That's like a whole Recoome on top of the 500,000. Now, people say that power levels like stopped mattering after the Namek saga, and like the Cell saga was the moment where it started getting wild. Fuck that. Who approved the crack that Frieza was on, okay? I need you to understand, we're talking about 40,000 and then 530. This man broke the power scale. This guy was base form, alright? And Vegeta's throwing hands with this guy. I don't know how he's doing it. I know it's Zenkai boost, but I don't like Zenkai boost. They are just random plot devices. But shit, he does it, so I can't really knock on him. He's doing his thing. So, W performance here. He then goes second form, and it's no longer fun. You know, Vegeta's getting clapped. Piccolo shows up, so I'm not really going to talk about that. I'm not going to count that as a loss, per se. The real loss comes when Frieza goes all the way to final form, and he's just playing with this guy's cheeks. Vegeta's in denial. He's sitting there like, oh, I'm the Super Saiyan, I'm him. No, he's not. He's getting back shots. It's embarrassing. Is it a bad loss? It is Frieza, though. So, yes, it's a loss. It's not a good thing, but again, he's losing to Frieza, the most powerful being in the galaxy. So, not too shabby. I would say Vegeta's performance here is like a B+, honestly. He gets a lot of wins at the start of the arc, and he starts to struggle, but he still maintains some kind of aura to him. You know, he gets whooped by Recoome, but then he aids in Ginyu. He gets beat by Final Form Frieza, but he pushed Frieza in his base form. So, you know, Vegeta's doing his thing. Then we jump to the Android Saga. And in the Android Saga, this guy's first battle is against Android 19. Now, for context on who Android 19 is. Android 19 is somebody even stronger than Frieza, okay? And this guy beat Goku. Goku in Super Saiyan beat Frieza in Final Form pretty handily. The same Frieza that bullied Vegeta. So then 19 is stronger than that Frieza, and he beats a Goku that is stronger than the Goku that fought that Frieza. Now, granted, Goku had like cancer or something, so you know I can't really. It's not really like a fair dub, but hey, Vegeta comes in clean, right? That whole fucking do androids experience fear stuff, peak cinema right there. And Vegeta demolishes 19. Probably the coolest victory that Vegeta ever has in all of Dragon Ball. And he has some other cool ones, but this one was crazy. Now, unfortunately, the streak can't last because he meets Android 18. And Android 18, this ain't a fun one, man. 18 proceeds to body Vegeta, broke his arm with a kick, kicked him in his damn bicep, broke his whole arm. You know, this is not a good look, man. And it's especially worse because Vegeta was riding the highs of beating 19, and he just kind of felt like the man on top of the world just for 18 to play with his buns. It was unfortunate. Is this the worst loss that Vegeta gets? I don't think so. I mean, in Z, I don't think it is. It's definitely not a good one. But I don't know if it's the worst. I guess we'll talk about the other one. So Vegeta goes into Hyperbolic Time Chamber. He gets even stronger, comes back and fights Semi-Perfect Cell. Now, Semi-Perfect Cell, he absorbs 17, who's equal, if not stronger than 18. So Semi-Perfect Cell is like way stronger than 18. Like 18 would do 0 damage if she punched him in the face. Cell bodies this Imperfect Cell, puts him in a body bag, okay? Playing with his cheeks over here. No hope for Cell. Now, this is a good performance. So good, in fact, that Vegeta's bored. And Cell's like, you know, he basically gaslights Vegeta. He's like, shit, if I was perfect, you wouldn't do that to me. It couldn't be me if I was perfect. And Vegeta buys it. He lets him go perfect form. And by absorbing 18, I guess that's kind of like him getting his get back on 18, I suppose. And then he goes perfect Cell, and it don't go well for him. You know, he gets annihilated. He gets his back broken. It's all rough. It doesn't help that Vegeta uses Final Flash here, which is like the coolest move in his arsenal, and it does a total of 0 total damage points, which just like hurts even more. So I'm actually going to call this the worst L Vegeta gets, because not only is it his fault, not only does he get his back broken, in front of his kid too, he also uses Final Flash and it does 0 damage. I gotta say, he got cooked. So, you know, then in the end, he helps in Perfect Cell's defeat, but I wouldn't really call it a W. He fights the Cell Jr., he does pretty well. You know, not too much to talk about there, but I'm going to give Vegeta his performance here. I mean, he gets his best win against 19, his sauciest win. Then he gets, like, his other sauciest win against Imperfect Cell, and then he gets clapped. So he gets, like, 2 super easy W's and then 2 super bad L's. So I guess a C+, we'll just go there. Let's jump to the Buu saga, shall we? Because we got to talk about the GOAT, the legend, the strongest being ever to walk the earth, Pui Pui. And yeah, Pui Pui gets pretty embarrassed. You know, it's funny because Babidi's like, hey, let's send them to a planet that aids in Pui Pui's gravity. Like, it's different gravity, so it'll aid Pui Pui in battle. And I'm just like, bro, this shit ain't even as heavy as, like, this planet Vegeta, which Vegeta was running in when he was a little kid. So, kind of tough, I'm not gonna lie. He bullies Pui Pui really bad, but it's no saucy W. It's just, who the hell's Pui Pui? He kind of just looks like Kui, to be honest. He got resurrected, reincarnated as this guy, but here we are. His next fight is against Goku Super Saiyan 2, so he's in 1W, and this one, I guess technically, it's a W because he, like, knocks out Goku by sledgehammering him Xenoverse 2 style in the back of the head. But, you know, who are we kidding, alright? It was a draw. They were both even in battle. Vegeta snuck him. Bitch. But you gotta respect it. It was a great performance. It was a great fight. Both of them look really good doing it. Really good, really strong. So, hey, by the way, pause. Look really good doing it. Pause. But Vegeta, he gets, you know, not the win, but a draw. And he looks great doing it. So, whatever. Also, the Majin look is probably the best look Vegeta ever has. You know, I think out of all the forms, that Super Saiyan 2 Majin Vegeta look is the coolest look Vegeta ever gets in both Z and Super. Now, after this fucking dork blindsides Goku, he decides to go fight Majin Buu by himself. Majin Buu is just a walking hack. Like, I talked about this in the Goku video where, yeah, Goku doesn't defeat Buu ever, but, like, it's Buu. Buu is just ridiculous. He pretty much breaks all the rules of everything. He has, like, crazy regeneration, matter manipulation, reality manipulation, creating wormholes by yelling. Like, this guy could just do whatever the fuck he wants. So Vegeta not being able to beat him is, like, you know, it is what it is. The only issue with Vegeta is, like, this guy decides to self-destruct. Like, dog, you already saw that this fool has regeneration. Why did you... What were you thinking? You know? So he self-destructs, dies in the process, and does a total of 0 maximum damage. That's not a good look, I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of rough. You know, one thing would be losing, one thing would be getting killed. You blew yourself up, dog. You sacrificed yourself for nothing. Again, it's Buu, so it could be worse because it could have been somebody that wasn't Buu, but because it's Buu, you know, losing to Buu, I can't really look at you sideways. And we're not going to talk about Vegito because I don't really count that as a Vegeta win or loss, depending on what the fusion does. Not really Vegeta. So we're going to jump to the final battle with Kid Buu. And I know this is Buu again, and I know he technically is losing, getting his ass beat, but it is a group victory, so he kind of does get the win alongside Goku and Majin Buu and Mr. Satan even. But Vegeta's performance here is so awesome, okay? He has no chance of beating Kid Buu. He just sits there and gets fucking demolished. And yet, you can't help but respect them. So I'm not gonna lie, I was coming into this thinking that Vegeta's performances overall were gonna be a lot, like, worse, but he's actually kind of decent in Z. In the Saiyan saga, he's the final boss, he looks really great. In the Namek saga, he picks up a lot of great W's at the start, and still stays there, you know, still stays battling in the Namek saga. The Android saga, he gets 2 of his, like, coolest looking victories, but he also gets 2 of his worst losses, so it's kind of in the middle. And then in the Buu saga, you know, he gets 1 victory, 1 really great draw against Goku, and then he fights Majin Buu, which granted, it, you know, he kills himself, and it's not really, you know, it's kind of hilarious that he did it for no reason. But he did it anyways, and again, it's Buu. And then Kid Buu, man, he stays in there, and you have to respect it. So overall, I think Vegeta's performance is like a B-. You know, he's solid. He's not as good as Goku and Z, but yeah. Now, when we talk about Super, y'all don't want to talk about Super, alright? But we will. That's going to be the next video. Is Vegeta a fraud in Dragon Ball Super? So stay tuned for that. If you want me to do more Are They Fraud videos, let me know down below. Who do you guys want to see? Share the video. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with my assessment on the Prince of All Saiyans? But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm out. Bye.